All right, hello students. Now we're going to go over example 1, graphing rational numbers. So instead of reading kind of all this information to you, I'm going to kind of break it down for you as we go through the next two examples. So we kind of look down here where at the bottom where it says locating and graphing a number 3/10 and its opposite on a number line. So if we look down here, we of course have 0 in the middle. We have a positive one way over here and a negative one way over here. Well, what this is kind of saying is when we're graphing this, we want to break this down by the bottom number or by the denominator. So if we look at positive 1 over here, if I write this as a fraction with the denominator of 10, well, to make this in the 1, it would simply have to be 10 over 10. If I come over to the negative side and I have a denominator of 10, to make this negative 1, it would be negative 10 over 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of break this up between 0 and 1 into 10 equal spaces. So that means when we get to 1 over here, that should be line number 10. So we should have 9 lines in between. What I like to do, especially because 10 is an even number, I like to try to find kind of the middle point. Right here, here's kind of is about the middle point, and then kind of work my way up here. So this should be line 5, and then I should have 4 lines to line 10. Now it's not exactly in the middle. I probably should have went over a little bit more to the right, but it's pretty close. This will just make my kind of dividing it up a little bit easier. So right here, if I label this would be 5/10. So that means in between all of these, or in between these two, I should have 4 lines because this is 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, and then 4/10. And of course, this line is 5/10. If I continue to go, I should have 6/10, 7/10, all the way to 10/10. So 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and then 10/10. This one's a little bit spaced out a little more, but like I said, we're human. It's not going to be exact. So if I'm going to label or identify 3/10, well, I go ahead and I label it. I mark it right here. This is my 3/10 spot. Okay, of course, it's right here. It's 1, 2, 3/10 over. Okay, I always like to say label it, label what you're label what you're marking. And now I gotta have to do its opposite. So if I do the opposite, I'm going to kind of do the same thing I did on the positive side. I want to first cut it in half because 10 is an even number. So of course, since I'm going the opposite direction, this is negative 5/10. And I do the same thing. I break this up, 4 lines in between. There's negative 1/10, negative 2/10, negative 3/10, negative 4/10. And I continue going. This is 5/10 here, and I go negative 6/10, negative 7/10, negative 8/10, and then negative 9/10. And I'll go ahead and identify its opposite. So it'd be 1, 2, 3 over to the left now. And let's go ahead and label it. This is negative 3/10. All right, so there you go. So whenever you're trying to graph a fraction, you want to start off by putting the ones, especially if there's no whole number, putting the ones and then breaking it up between 0 and 1 by the bottom number. Since the number was 10, I have 10 equal spots until I get to 1. Well, if we look at the next one, if we look at exercise 1, well, this one says use what we know about negative 7/4 and its opposite to graph both points on a number line. So we're going to kind of do the same thing, but if you look at this one now, the 7 is greater than 4. So therefore, this is going to be actually past 1 because this is called an improper fraction. So if we go ahead and we kind of take what we did before now and we break it up in kind of the same manner, well, then we can identify negative 7/4 and its opposite, positive 7/4. So if we go ahead and we find the middle point here to put 0, as you see, there is no 0. So I know that there are 17, I believe there's 17, 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Well, I want to go ahead and find the middle of that. Well, if I go to 18, that's 9. So of course I want to go 9 spaces over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Did I count that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's okay to double count. Like I said, double check. I actually moved too soon. So this would be my 0. Well, now since my denominator here is 4, I want to go by 1/4. Okay, so first we're going to identify 7. I want to go by 4. All right, so every 4 would be a whole. So here I want to go to negative. So this one would be 1/4. This is actually nice. It's already cut up for us. 2/4. Oh, I didn't get that one all the way. This is 3/4. And if you want to continue going, I'm sorry, this is a negative direction. I apologize. I didn't put the negatives up there. If you want to continue going and kind of fast forward to it, it's fine. It takes me a little bit long to do this with the mouse. And this is negative 5/4. And this is negative 6/4. And the last one is negative 7/4. Notice I didn't worry about kind of the fact that the top number now is getting bigger. Okay, I know that negative 4/4 is -1, but I need to go to 7/4. So as you see, the top number just keeps going like normal, and the bottom number stays the same. Okay, so if I kind of got rid of the bottom number, this would simply be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and -7. It kind of stays the same. Nothing really changes there, and I go ahead and identify the point that I'm interested in. Well, now if I go the opposite, remember I got to identify its opposite. Let's go ahead and go the opposite direction, but with the same type of values. So each of these is going to be 1/4 because of the denominator of 4. So I have 1/4, I have 2/4, 3/4. Kind of like I said before, if you want to kind of mark yours in and then fast forward it to where I plot the point, that's perfectly fine because this does take me a little bit of time to do it with a mouse. And then I have 6/4 right here, and then of course the last one would be 7/4. So kind of like I said on the other side, if you notice, and of course this is its opposite. If you notice, the top numbers just simply go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The bottom just simply stays the same. And then now this kind of identifies as 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and so forth. All right, so if we kind of go ahead and look at the second part, it says on the number line, each segment will have an equal length of, well, each of these lengths here, because of how it's broken up, is 1/4. Actually, let's get a different color. It's 1/4 because each segment is broken up by 1/4. It says the fraction is located between, well, hold on a second. The fraction, this fraction right here that we're identifying, the fraction that's being presented, well, if we look at this, this is -4/4, so this is actually -1 if I kind of break it down the whole numbers. If I take this one more space over to -8/4, this is actually -2. So what numbers is it between? Well, it's between -1 and -2. So the -7/4 that was presented to us is between these two numbers. Okay, now it asks for an explanation about the opposites. Why are they located where they're at? Well, this is just like any whole number or any integer that we've talked about in the past. They are opposites because they are on the same distance, but on opposite sides of the number line. So here we go. 7/4 is the opposite, excuse me, of -7/4 because, oops, they are the same distance, remember, same distance, but on opposite sides of 0. Okay, so remember, opposite simply means they have the same distance from 0, but on opposite sides of 0. All right, your job now is to go ahead and move on to the next problem, example number 2. You're going to go ahead and read this information and answer the questions below. And at this time, of course, you can work with your partner.